don't know about the rest of y'all, but it smells to me. I really viewed him as being set up to fail. That he may not be. But how does he get 0 snaps with the first team? How a player is able to say they were unfamiliar with his snap count? He wasn't prepped at all. You're a QB2. Your QB1 is an undersized dude, a hit away from getting concussed and taken out of the game. Kevin Stefanski is a 2-time NFL Coach of the Year. He knows a thing or two about coaching football. How unprepared did Shedeur Sanders?
Stephen A. Smith is back in business, and this time, he's not holding back. He's calling out none other than Cleveland Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski, and this time, it's personal. What was supposed to be a big moment for Shedeur Sanders quickly turned into a nightmare, and Stephen A. is ready to break it all down. Now you all saw it. Shedeur Sanders' debut against the Baltimore Ravens. It was rough. Real rough. And Stephen A. isn't shy about saying what we're all thinking. It looked like Sanders was being set up to fail. How do you throw a young, talented quarterback into the fire without any first-team reps? That's what Stephen A. is asking. Stephen A. lays it all out. This is the kind of mismanagement that can ruin a player's confidence and set them back for years to come. What happened to the responsibility of coaching, of preparing your players for every scenario? That's the question Stephen A. wants answered. And trust me, you don't want to miss this breakdown.
Did Shedeur Sanders look? Suddenly he's not comprehending plays? Suddenly he doesn't know the playbook? Suddenly he doesn't know what's going on? That's not the reputation that we've ever heard about Shedeur Sanders. We've heard he's incredibly familiar with the playbook.
Stephen A. Smith didn't hold back, continuing his fiery critique of Kevin Stefanski. He couldn't understand how, after spending the whole season praising Shedeur Sanders for his progress in training, Stefanski suddenly acts like he has no clue about Sanders' understanding of the playbook. How does a coach go from saying a quarterback is improving to suddenly claiming they don't know anything? Stephen A. called it out as a clear, unfair judgment. To him, it looked like Stefanski was just trying to cover his tracks and get past the situation, rather than actually giving Sanders a fair shot. No first-team reps, no real preparation, just thrown into the deep end. And Stephen A. made it clear, that's not how you treat a young QB trying to succeed in the NFL. Stephen A. Smith went on to make a bold statement about backup quarterbacks in general. Typically, backup QBs may not be starting caliber, but they're usually still competent enough to step in and contribute when needed. But with Shedeur Sanders, Stephen A. argued, it was a completely different story. Sanders was thrown into the game completely unprepared, with no knowledge of the schemes or the playbook, and Stephen A. made it clear. This wasn't Sanders' fault. This was all on Stefanski. It was surprisingly suspicious that Shedeur did not even know whom to pass the ball. Stefanski never gave Sanders a single first-team rep leading up to the game, leaving him out in the cold when it mattered most.
What's rare to see is a quarterback that looked grossly ill-prepared to be on the football field. I'm talking about schematically. Really, you complete the first couple of passes, and then after that, you can't find anybody. It made no sense to me. I found it to be very, very suspicious. That's not to big up Shedeur Sanders by any way.
Dan Orlovsky also weighed in, calling out the bizarre situation surrounding Shedeur Sanders' debut. He pointed out how strange it was that the offensive line had never practiced with Sanders under center. Orlovsky found it hard to believe that a quarterback could be thrown into a game without the offensive line having any familiarity with how he operates. Reports surfaced that the linemen were unsure of how to work with Sanders in the quarterback spot, and Orlovsky made it clear this was a serious issue. He couldn't fathom how such a lack of preparation could happen at this level, and he didn't mince words about how quickly things went off the rails in this situation.
He's also a rookie, so I'm sure the Browns are trying to get him as much reps as possible. Do I find it odd that Shedeur hasn't had a single snap with the starters?
Not one?
Yes. I think Wyatt Teller had said coming out of halftime, it was the first time that the starting offensive line had heard Shedeur's cadence. I think that's odd, yes.
After all the criticism, it looks like Kevin Stefanski is finally ready to give Shedeur Sanders a real shot. According to Mary Kay Cabot, Sanders will be starting for the Browns next week against the Las Vegas Raiders. This comes after Dillon Gabriel, who was originally expected to start, will remain in concussion protocol and won't be cleared in time. For Shedeur, this is a major turning point. he'll finally get the chance to take first-team reps for the first time all season. Following the tough loss in their last game, the Browns are adjusting their offense to fit Sanders' strengths. This upcoming game against the Raiders is set to be the biggest of his career, with everything on the line for the young QB.
Probably going to happen this week as they head out to face the Raiders in Las Vegas, because Dylan Gabriel is in the concussion protocol, and I just think there's a very, very good chance that Shedeur Sanders is going to start this game.
Mary Kay Cabot has also reported that the Browns are putting together a tailored game plan for Shedeur Sanders ahead of their matchup with the Raiders, aiming to get the best performance out of him. She sees this as a prime opportunity for Sanders to show what he's capable of and prove his value to the team. With the right motivation and determination, Shedeur is ready to seize this moment, and it's clear that this is his chance to shine.
That's the first thing that will happen. And then they will devise a game plan that will maximize his strengths and help him to look as good as possible against those Raiders in Vegas. And
Kevin Stefanski also addressed the possibility of Shedeur Sanders starting, confirming that Sanders will indeed be playing for the Browns next week. He emphasized that, as a young quarterback, Shedeur is constantly learning and growing from every opportunity. Stefanski believes that with more playing time and first-team reps, Sanders' development will continue to accelerate. He hinted that this could be the beginning of a new chapter, with Shedeur potentially becoming the Browns' starting quarterback in the future, showing confidence in his potential to lead the team.
Don't they say, like, it can't go to decision?
No, we can't.
You gotta beat the champ. What's the verbiage there,
if you want to beat the champ, you got to beat the champ.
Yeah.
Right? If you want to become the champ, you got to beat the champ. As in, if it's close, they're going to give it to the champ.
Yes. That's what I was looking for. Like, I know I used to watch Usman fight a lot, Israel Adesanya fight MMA, and I remember them being like, if you want to beat them when they were the champs, it can't go to decision.
Mary Kay Cabot clarified that the decision to start Shedeur Sanders isn't a sympathy move for him or his supporters, but rather a recognition of his impressive accuracy. She highlighted that during training, Shedeur has consistently demonstrated exceptional precision, earning the respect of the coaching staff. His remarkable accuracy has contributed to him being regarded as a top prospect, and it's a key reason why he's being given the opportunity to start. This move reflects the coaching staff's belief in his potential to succeed.
That are curious, and they are seeing some things in practice, because I've seen them with my own two eyes. Shedeur Sanders, I've told you guys so many times, throws a beautiful ball. He is very, very accurate. He has elite accuracy.
Skip Bayless, however, voiced strong confidence in Shedeur Sanders, commending the way he's been throwing the ball. He's convinced that with the right preparation, Shedeur has the ability to shine in the upcoming game. Bayless views the Raiders matchup as a real chance for Shedeur to demonstrate what his future in the NFL could hold. While acknowledging past mistakes, he emphasized that Shedeur's throws have already shown glimpses of success, which gives him confidence that Sanders can rise to the occasion in this important game.
That I have not lost my confidence. This kid is clutch, and he has it factor when it's time to have it. I saw it again and again at Jackson State and again at Colorado. He was born for that situation.
In conclusion, Stephen A. Smith didn't hold back in his scathing critique of Kevin Stefanski, exposing the coach's mismanagement of Shedeur Sanders' debut. Stephen A. called out Stefanski for failing to provide Sanders, a backup quarterback, with any first-team reps during practice. This lack of preparation, according to Stephen A., made it virtually impossible for Sanders to succeed when he was thrown into the game against the Ravens. Stephen A. argued that this wasn't just an oversight. It was a clear setup for failure, and Stefanski should bear the responsibility for the disastrous start to Sanders' career. He also questioned how a coach could praise a quarterback's progress throughout the season and then suddenly act as though that same QB doesn't understand the playbook or the system. This inconsistency in Stefanski's handling of Sanders was seen as unfair and damaging to the young quarterback's confidence and development. Ultimately, Stephen A.'s critique was about more than just a bad decision. It was about accountability. He exposed Stefanski's failure to properly prepare Sanders, making it clear that such mismanagement could have long-lasting effects on a player's growth. In the end, Stephen A. called for better coaching and more consistent support for young talent like Shedeur Sanders. So what do you think? Was Kevin Stefanski's decision to throw Shedeur Sanders into the game without proper preparation a mistake? Or was it a missed opportunity for growth? Do you believe a young quarterback like Sanders can succeed under those circumstances? Or was he set up to fail? And how much responsibility does Stefanski really bear in this situation? Should a coach be expected to give a backup quarterback more than just a few reps to prepare them for a game of that magnitude? Was it fair to criticize Sanders' performance when he wasn't properly prepped? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you agree with Stephen A's take, or do you think there's more to the story?